Volcano Eruption and Preparedness. What's in my go bag? Hello everybody. Today's video is about my preparation for the possible eruption of the Taal Volcano, what's a go bag, where I am in proximity to the Taal Volcano, and some comments about volcanoes in the US. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe. That's the way you reward us for all the hard work of making these videos. So here we go. What's a go bag? It's a bob. What's a bob? B-O-B. What's a B-O-B? Bug out bag. A go bag contains everything you need to survive for 3 days should you have to evacuate during a disaster. What specifically is in my go bag? We're still in the process of making it. We've drawn out a list. We have some of the things. We need more of others, but we're pretty sure what we got in it. You can probably see behind me. It's just a backpack. One backpack per person. There's me, my wife, and my daughter. We'll be able to carry most of the stuff. We'll let her carry a small backpack just to be part of the family, but it's not really that much. Just the essentials for 3 days survival. So in our particular case, that's going to be cell phones and chargers, extra load. You know the way we buy load here in the Philippines. I don't buy my Philippine phone services on a postpaid or monthly basis. I buy as needed with loads. So now we're starting to increase the amount of load that we keep on our phone. We're carrying extra just in case we have to go and we're nowhere near a place that sells loads or we're unable to contact anyone. So now we're keeping extra load. I'm still trying to decide if we can bring a small laptop. After we completely pack the bag, if it's sufficient, if there's sufficient space, then we'll bring a small laptop. In addition to the cell phone and chargers, I've downloaded and loaded the phones with some additional apps, websites, and info. I've got one app that is Volcanoes and Earthquake. What it does is it reports volcanic and seismic activity. That's how I'm going to know if the volcano is acting up. I don't necessarily want to wait for the people on the news to tell me. With this app, I can tell instantly when there's an earthquake, instantly when there's an increase in volcanic action, like more steam coming out of the top of the volcano. So I'll know that. I won't have to wait till everybody else gets it, and I might get a little bit of a jump on them, and that will give me time to decide if we're going to evacuate, if we're going to stay here. Anyway, the name of that app is Volcanoes and Earthquakes. I think I'll also include a list of some of these apps in this video as well. I've started reading on a daily basis something called PhiVocs, which is the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the official government site that watches the volcanoes and keeps an eye on them. There's another site that I keep an eye on. It's called the Angeles City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. I keep an eye on them because they are the people in charge of the evacuation centers. So they have a website that actually shows you where all the evacuation centers are. In fact, let's see if I can find that here on the computer. In fact, there it is. We live in the Angeles City area, and so if I come out a little bit, there we are, Angeles City, Marquee Residence, Marquee Mall. We're close to that, so we would be checking in that area if we decided to go somewhere for if we needed to evacuate and needed to go to a shelter. There. The map is interactive, so if you click on this, you get a little bit more information. Tells you degrees, actual name. Some of them go as far as telling you what their capacity is, etc., etc. Some list phone numbers, but at the very least, they give you the full name so you'll know what it is and you'll have some idea. All of these little green blocks tell you. This one's the barangay. It has 1,600 square meters. At 50 families, it has a capacity of 50 families or 200 people. So there we have the Angeles City Disaster Risk and Recovery Management Office. They also have a website. I will post that down below as well. And something else I've decided to do is keep in the bag a printed out copy, as well as loading on the cell phones the following information. I want printout because maybe the cell phone service will go down. Maybe I might run out of batteries. Maybe things just aren't working. So if I keep a printed copy, as well as loading all that on the cell phone, I really have a good chance of having what I need when I need it. So the things that I'm going to both print out and load on my cell phone are going to be local street maps, the evacuation center addresses, the important papers like my passport, bank cards, billing info, stuff like that, the addresses and phone numbers of phone numbers, names of friends and family, so that I can contact them should I need to. I've also been searching online for a nice portable AM/FM shortwave radio. I hope to find one with a crank on it. You know, you crank it up instead of use batteries. But if I'm unable to find one of those, I'll just get one that uses batteries and store a whole bunch of batteries. I prefer the crank because the batteries are heavy, and I'm going to be a little conscious about what things weigh. We don't want our go bag to be too heavy. I'm also looking for a small solar charger, not something that powerful, just something large enough to charge my cell phone should it need charging. We've got a power bank, a 20 mAh power bank, 20,000 mAh, so that means we should be able to get 6 cell phone charges out of it. That should help quite a bit. We should be able to find some electricity by the time we run our cell phone down 6 times. Drinking water. That's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm still thinking about that. The experts say that you should carry 1 gallon of water per person per day. And we want our bag to last for 3 days, so that means I would be carrying 3 gallons of water. 3 gallons of water is going to weigh 24 pounds. So that's going to be quite a bit. I'm looking for alternate solutions. I'm thinking filters, bleach, all kind of things. I haven't totally decided on that. I think I'll go ahead and pack the 3 gallons and then start looking for an alternative that I like better. Like I said, the weight thing that's a bit much. Of course, there will be personal hygiene, toothbrush, toothpaste, wet wipes, soap, and a towel maybe. Just a small first aid kit, something with a little alcohol, band-aids, gauze, and some tape. Medicine that I think might come in handy would be my own personal medicine, of course, as well as antihistamines, cough syrups, and eye drops. All 3 of those are things that you find during the time of eruption of a volcano. They tend to irritate your eyes and make you cough a lot and make your eyes burn. So we'll be looking for that. We'll be looking for glasses, sunglasses to wear. We've already bought the mask that you put across your face. So between a mask and glasses, sunglasses, our eyes and breathing should be pretty well protected. Then there's the food. We need non-perishable food. I was thinking tuna, but we don't want tuna in cans because, once again, cans are very heavy, and we like to keep this bag as light as possible. So we'll be looking for tuna in sealed bags. Tuna, sardines, things like granola bars, jerky, beef jerky, chicken jerky, pork jerky, already sealed in a way that they're able to last for a long time and they don't rot. I might add, we have also given thought to what I'm calling a homeward bound kit. If we should happen to decide that we're just going to stay in the house and not go anywhere and tough it out in the house, we might try and pack enough stuff in here to last for a couple of weeks. maybe, you know, the basic stuff, water, drinking water, and then water for bathing and stuff like that. Enough duct tape to tape around the doors and the windows. Food for both us and the dogs. We have a couple of dogs. Some kind of lighting. We have candles for power outages now, but we like to up our capacity in that, so we'll get more batteries. We have solar cranking lights, but we need more of them if we're going to try and survive for an extended period of time, like 2 weeks. What is my situation in relation to the volcano and the possibility of its eruption? Primarily my proximity. How close am I? What are the chances of something happening? First off, let's talk about the geography of the Philippines. We know that the Philippines are islands, and they're located in what's known as the Ring of Fire. In the Ring of Fire, 75% of all active volcanoes in the world are located. It's just a 2,500 square mile area of ocean, but that primarily is where a lot of volcanoes exist, and we just happen to be in that area. As a matter of fact, we know that islands are born or made from volcano eruptions. That's how the Philippines got to be in its current configuration. I mentioned that the Philippines were islands. The Philippines is a group of islands, but not 3 or 4 islands. The Philippines is actually 7,100 islands. All those islands together are known as the Republic of the Philippines, or the country of the Philippines. All those islands are broken down into 3 major groups. That would be Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And so we happen to live in the Luzon area. So a little bit about the earthquake that we're talking about, the Taal earthquake, the Taal Vocano. It started acting up again in November, and then, November, and now it's January, and as of January 12th, we've had this major eruption. Let's see if we can find a little of there's something of that. Let's see if we can. That is what the volcano looked like during the peak of its eruption. It shot ashes and fire and rocks and lava into the air up to from 6 to 10 miles high. So that so those ashes were floating, and they've now started to settle down, or they actually started to settle down immediately in other parts of Manila. We are in the city of Angeles City. Angeles City is roughly 50 miles north of Manila. So Manila is 50 miles to the south of Angeles City, and the volcano is in a part of Manila, but Manila is huge. When I think of Manila, I think of like Los Angeles. Not Los Angeles the city, but Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County holds numerous cities, big cities, as well as the city of Los Angeles. And so that's the way that I think of Manila. Manila is huge. It has lots of cities and provinces are like counties, like Orange County, Los Angeles County. And this particular area where the volcano is another 50 miles south or further away from us in Manila, and it's in a mountainous region. The Taal Volcano is classified as a decade volcano, meaning that it is one of 16 volcanoes that the country of the Philippines is actually watching or monitoring on a very close basis. There are actually 53 active volcanoes in the Philippines, but these 16 are the ones that they're really keeping an eye on. When we say active, that doesn't necessarily mean it's spouting steam and ashes. Sometimes we're just talking about earthquakes or water geysers. So, in summary, we are 110 miles away from the area where this volcano erupted. The government evacuated the area that is 10 miles closest to that, told everybody to get up and go. Most of the people, almost everybody went. You know, there are a few people that couldn't leave for whatever reason. They said they didn't want to leave. The ashes fell and affected people up to 30 miles away or into Manila. So it's still in Manila. It's up to 30 miles away. We are 100 miles from the volcano, so we're not so much as worried about ourselves. We do have friends and family in the Manila area, so we're concerned about them. Our thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to them, but we're not so worried. We are preparing, as you've heard me say, just as the old Boy Scout motto is, always be prepared. That's why I've decided to do this. I'm not unnecessarily nervous. I don't feel that it's an impending doom or anything like that. It's just me being overly cautious. I have a family, and I would like to take as good a care of my family as I possibly can, and that includes being cautious. Let me describe a little bit of what that volcano looks like. We're looking at a picture of it now from a slightly different angle of when the clouds were when the steam was really shooting up in the air. I show this picture because this volcano is a little rare. It is a volcano on a piece of land, and that land is surrounded by a lake, and that lake is on a bigger piece of land, which is an island itself, and that island is on another lake, and that even bigger lake is on a bigger piece of land, and that biggest piece of land is in the ocean. So in reality, what we have is a volcano, what we have is an island on an island on an island. I am hoping that water serves as a natural break that will help mitigate, control the damage that the volcano could do if it should get any worse than what it is. I mentioned that I have an app that I use to monitor the volcano. I think as of this morning there have been 700 earthquakes. Most of them you couldn't feel. Maybe 176 of them were felt by humans. Not as far down here, I didn't feel any, but for those close to the proximity, they've still been feeling a little shaking. There is still plumes of ash coming out of the volcanoes, but instead of 6 to 10 miles high, they are 500, 600 meters high as of today. I don't know if the fact that the ashes are not shooting as high in the sky as they were previously is a good thing. I don't know if a reduction in activity is a good thing. I don't know that because maybe that when it vents, when it really explodes, it's letting all the energy out. It's not suppressing anything. Maybe when it stops erupting, that causes the pressure to build more. I don't know, and neither do the experts, but I'm a little concerned about that, and that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm keeping my eye on my app, and should there be a major change in earthquakes or the amount of ash spewing out of the volcano, then I will go into what I'm calling an emergency mode and make a decision as to whether I think we should stay in the house or go somewhere a little further down south. A friend of mine asked me, was I afraid of this natural disaster? And I told him all countries have natural disasters. I also reminded him that there are 22 states in the United States that have volcanoes in them. There are 161 active volcanoes in the United States. 18 of them are very high threat volcanoes. 39 of them are just high threat volcanoes. I also reminded my friend of the water geyser called Old Faithful, the one that's located in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. It's a water geyser, and it shoots up into the air every 51 or 90 minutes. That happens because water hits some rocks that are superheated, very, very, very hot, that are under the ground. Steam forms and it shoots up into the air. So that's happening because that is a volcanic region. There is magma, there's magma, hot iron flowing under the ground, and that's what's heating up the rocks. The area of Yellowstone National Park has volcanoes, active volcanoes, but in this case, instead of being what we know as volcanoes, which are like this is just flat land, and they can erupt at any time. Some of them do have volcanic or seismic activity. So once again, an active volcano is not necessarily one that is spewing steam or ashes. It may be manifesting in other ways, like geysers or earthquakes. And then I also mentioned to my friend that I'm from California. We were in fear of the big one, the giant earthquake, the one that was going to be so big it was going to happen in California, was going to break off and float off into the sea. Depending on where you are in the U.S., you might have risk of floods or tornadoes. So I said all that to say this. Every country, every place has its own natural disasters. We can just educate ourselves as much as possible and maybe try a little preparation in case things go bad, but there are these issues everywhere, and no sense in getting afraid or panicking that much. So there you have it. Volcano eruption preparedness. What's in my go bag? If you like this video, don't forget to click on the notification bell icon. If you click on the icon, you'll be notified as soon as we upload a video. We try and upload several videos a week, and we like you to have access to them as soon as they're available. That's another episode of Telecom Dog, Travel, Tech, and Talk. See you in the next video.